Welcome back to your crafty place. Today is day 6 of the Spellbinders Craftoween box. The card has a haunted house on the front of it, but the inside has a skeleton. The parts of it are there's the head that's here that you actually cut out with white. And then this piece here is the black piece that goes on the back for the eyes and the nose and the mouth, that piece right there. This little piece here are his little cheeks. Then you have his body, which this part is meant to be white and this part is meant to be black, which is what this one is. Oops, sorry, this one is. It's got these little itty bitty tiny black dots that go on either side. That's what that hole is up there. I also did it this way. I don't know if you can tell the difference there, but I did this in black and this in white and then just kept the insides, and so it gave it a little bit more of a raised, as opposed to it with when you do it the white on the back, it's indented. So you could do it either way. It's easier on the body than it is on the arms. Oops. So here is the arm. This is the bottom part that is white, and then this is the top part that is black, and it's that little piece that comes out so you can see the white in the background. And these you do have to cut 2 of each for one body. Then you've got, let's see, the broom here, which is the bottom part of the broom right here. This little piece right here that's inside the back part of the face is the little brim or rim for the broom there, and then you've got the broom handle. Then you have this little tiny cauldron, which is the cauldron is here, and then the little bubbling over part is right there, and that just gets glued onto the top part there. Let's see, the hat, that is the hat here, and then this part here is the band for the hat. And I think that covers all the pieces. So I put them all together like this. I haven't put one together completely, but these are all of the pieces. I did not cut all the black pieces to go on his hips. I'm going to use a pen because the pieces are very, very small. These I cut out of white, and then I just used a gray pen or gray alcohol marker to color them, and that's the part for the hat, for the cauldron, and then for the broom. You could do them whatever color you wanted. Instead of getting another colored piece of paper out, I just decided to color them. But I'm going to put this other one on here just so that you can see how tiny it is. So you can kind of see, I think, the indentation there. That's where the little black piece goes. So it is really, really, really tiny. If I had nails, I might be able to pick it up, but I don't. I have broken them all off, and there is a front and a back just because of the way it indents whenever you die cut, but really I don't know that it would matter. But there is that. If I wanted to do it with a pen, which this one is the ones that I glued the rib cages on the outside of, if I wanted to do it with a pen, I could just take a black pen. I'm gonna mark on another piece of paper here just to make sure I'm getting a clean mark. Yep. And then since I did the white one here, there's not indentation, so I'm just going to guesstimate where I want them, but if the indentions were there, I would just fill in the indentions. But here are the 2 different ones. So one is the dots that you cut out, and then the other ones are the dots that I drew. So this one here is the dots that I cut out, and this one here is the dots that I drew. So I'm going to put the rest of these together, then we'll come back and make a card and some other type of Halloween treat box. I'll be right back. Okay, so I am back and I have them all put together. This one I did with his little broom going a little bit more at an angle. You will notice with their arms, I did tell you originally that you had to cut 2 of each of the smaller pieces. Let me find the die here. You had to cut 2 each of this piece, which is the top part of the arm, and 2 of this piece. The only way they work is if you have one that goes down and one that goes up, or flip them so that they're the back side of it, because if you look at his thumbs, if you had both hands going down, both thumbs would be pointing one direction. So, I mean, that would be fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you do it this way, then the thumbs could potentially be going the right way because you have one going in and then this one is going in as well. It's just the hand is up instead of down. So hopefully you understand what I'm saying there. I sometimes don't make any sense, but most of them I did the same way with the little bucket. I put part of its hand behind the bucket so that it looks like it's holding the handle of the bucket. This one and this one I did not. I just kind of stuck it right on. So I can get them both in there. I just kind of stuck it right on the top of the handle. So there are those. So we are going to make a card and a box. So we're going to start with the card. And for the card, you are going to need a card base. Don't need that magnet just yet. You're going to need a card base that is 8.5 by 5.5. So you're going to cut an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper in half at the 5.5 inch mark. Then for the inside, since I'm using orange, I'm going to also have a piece of, I used a die cut to cut this out. So this one was the Recollections die cut, and it was the second to largest, so it was 3.9 by 5.2. Basically, you would want to cut down about 1/4 inch. So if your card base is 5.5 by 4.25, then you would want a 5-inch piece by a 5.25 inch piece by a 4-inch piece. So if you didn't use a die, then you would just cut it down however much you want as an edge around it. So that is for that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on the center, or on the inside. I just do glue right around the edge just so that you don't see the glue in the center. I don't think you would on this paper, but if I was using copy paper, you could. This one's a little bit heavier, not much. It's still lighter weight than the heavy cardstock. That's why I'm using it, because this is also a little bit lighter weight. And then I have a piece of black that I'm going to layer down next. That's going to go on the outside. This is the exact same size as the piece that I have on the inside. So this black and this white, I actually cut them at the same time. Okay, and then I have another piece that I used the Distress ink from Tim Holtz. I used an orange, a green, a blue, a purple, and then a little bit of a black. I didn't have black in the Distress ink. I had it in the Distress oxide, but I went ahead and used it since it was such a small part. I used it up here in the corner. And then I embossed it with a tree embossing folder. It is a Doris folder. If I can find the name of it, I will put that in the comments down below. And then I cut that one out with the Sizzix Thinlits. It's Tim Holtz. And I cut it out with the largest one in this pack, which I'm not sure. Yeah, it doesn't have the sizes for them, but I cut it out with the largest one in there. And the number for that is right there. I think you can see it. It does not make a perfect edge all the way around. The sides are larger than the top because of the size of it, but I thought it looked okay. Since I embossed, I'm going to use tape and glue. I just find sometimes with the embossing folders, I need the extra. So I'm just going to put glue around here. I also, once I was done with the Distress ink, I also used some Perfect Pearls. I want my hair in there. Some Perfect Pearls in the Forever Violet. And then I used some Glimmer Mist in the Key Lime color. You could use anything that you had. I sprayed it on there and then I used a paper towel and wiped most of it off, and then I did hit the whole thing with the heat embossing tool. Whoops. Pull those off, and then I'm going to use glue all the way around. I did do the embossing folder before I cut. It did not impact the emboss that much. You may have pressed it out a little bit, but not enough that you can really see, or at least that I can see, but then my eyes are not going to win any competitions anytime soon, even when I have readers and contacts. So. All right, so there is that. Make sure it grabs down. So there's that. It's got a little bit of shine. I don't know if you can see it in the image or not. I am then just going to take one of my little skeletons here. I think I'm going to take the one with the broom out to the side and glue him down on here. You could also use foam squares if you wanted to pop them up. There's a lot of little places that you would need to pop up along and through here. I am going to just try and keep it simple and not have too many things because I've already used quite a few. I'm just going to glue it down. But I'm going to make sure I have a lot of glue since it is going on top of an embossed piece of paper. See if I can grab it here without dropping it. And I'm going to turn him over here, grab him by his hat, put him down here. Got a little too much glue right there. I'm going to grab my stamp block and just put my stamp block on there and kind of move him off to the side just a little bit. I am then going to get out my Misty along with the stamp set that came with this. I'm going to use the Have a Bone Rattling Halloween. I've got it in my Misty already. I've got orange, which is the same as the broom. Didn't want to have to do too many different colors. I'm just going to use the VersaFine Onyx Black. And I'm going to stamp it a couple of times because I'm not going to press too hard because if I press too hard then the letters squish out and I don't want them to squish out. I don't think, maybe that's for me this time, I don't know. I am messy. Just because we have used these labels on just about every other one that we've done, I'm going to go ahead and get something out of this. Try not to be too loud because I know it is very loud in the camera and I apologize for that. That one would fit. I don't think that one would. This one definitely would. I think I'll use that one, or maybe that one's going to be cutting it really, really close. I think I'm going to use that one. I think I'm going to use that one. So these are dies. I've shown them before. They came off of Amazon, but they've got two cut lines. They've got the inner cut line and the outer cut line. So this piece in between becomes kind of like a frame around your tag. You can use it or not use it. It's kind of up to you and how you want to do it. I'm going to get my small die cutting machine here and some washi tape. I have this thin washi tape that I'm never going to use on anything else. I'm going to use to tape this down so that I can make sure it's I think that's pretty even. Get my little die cut machine here. There is our sentiment, and then you can see that the border piece there stayed in there, so we're going to pop that out. It is pretty fragile, so I wouldn't recommend just pulling. I would try to get as much of it as you can out before you start pulling on it. But, so if I put this piece down first, and then put this piece in there, because of the nature of how something cuts, you're going to be able to see just a tiny bit around it, because it depresses or pushes the ends down a little bit, so you're not going to get a perfect fit. You're going to see that little bit of a gap between the two of them because of how something cuts. You can't cut something and it not take off a minuscule amount. So if you don't like that, then don't use that other piece. If you don't mind it, then by all means use that other piece. I'm going to grab my tweezers, and I am going to put this frame down first. I have used this outer frame and then popped the actual sentiment up. I am not going to do that this time. I'm sorry, I don't have a steady hand, so sometimes the smaller ones are harder for me. But that doesn't stop me. Shouldn't stop you either if you have a shaky hand or not so great eyes. You can still make stuff. Don't pull it, because pulling it's just going to distort the frame. Just kind of push it into where it needs to be. I'm going to put that on there while I add glue to the back of this. And I think I'm going to use, just because it's Halloween, I always have my vintage photo, almost always have my vintage photo on here. So I'm just going to use what's on here and just kind of go around the edges. There's probably not a lot on here because I use it so much, but that way it'll give me an edge that's definitely a distinction between the two of them. So you'll know that that little gap was intended. You don't have to do this, but since I had it, I figured I would. I'm going to grab my tweezers again here. I think I got some glue on my tweezers, not from this time, but probably from those little skeletons. Now I'm going to turn the card a little bit so that I can see, do my best to get it centered in there. I'm going to do one right here in this corner. One up here in this corner. And then I think I'll do the purple in the opposite two corners. So one here and one here. And these are just some embellishments off of Amazon, or some gems off of Amazon. It was a multi-pack with lots of different colors. So for the treat box, you're going to need 2 pieces of paper. One is going to be 5 1/4 by 4, and then this one can either be one piece or you can cut it, but you need a 5 1/2 piece by 2 1/2 inch piece, and then this piece is going to get cut at 2 1/2. So I'm going to cut it down to 2 1/2. So one piece is just a little bit bigger than the other piece. And then on all sides, we're going to score at 3 1/4. So if we come back, it'll be 3 1/4 there. And then we're going to turn it and score it at 3 1/4. This is the 5 1/4 inch side, so we will score at 4 1/2 on this side. And then on these, on the long side, the 3 inch side, we are going to score at the 3/4 inch. And then on the 2 1/2 inch side, this one is 2 1/2 by 2 1/2, so it doesn't matter. You're going to score at 3/4 inch as well. So that is all we need the scoreboard for. We are going to burnish all of our folds. I'm going to burnish these before I cut them. And then I'm just going to cut on the long sides. I'm just going to cut these two pieces here, and I'm going to cut them at angles so that we have a piece that we can fold over and not have to worry about it getting in the way. So both sides, I'm just going to do that. This way too. And then we're going to throw these little pieces away. And then the pieces that are going to get glue on them are going to be the 4 little flaps that we just created. So I'm just going to go ahead and add glue. You could also use tape if you didn't want to use glue. Just make sure you get enough on there so that it'll be a solid hold. And they may not line up perfectly because of the angles that we cut. You just want the tops to try to make sure that it's a flat box. Again, with the angles, they're not going to line up perfectly unless you don't cut an angle. So don't try to get them to line up perfectly, or you may have a little bit of a wonky box. Okay, now you have the two that you scored at the 3/4 inch. We're going to glue the inside of the flap here, and then that is going to go on the end of the box. I'm going to turn this over here and then open it up and burnish that down. So that kind of folds like that. And then the same way with this one. I'm going to get the 3/4 of an inch and I'm going to glue. I'm going to turn that over and do the same thing. I'm going to open this up here, fold that back a little bit, and then burnish. So now you have ones that overlap just a tad bit. You don't need them to overlap a lot. But then I'm going to take one of my little skeletons here, and I want the skeleton to go over the one that's going to go over the top. So whether that's the small one or whether that's the large one, it's up to you. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to have it be on the large one. I'm not gluing him down. I'm going to put a magnet on the back of his head. So this is a really small magnet. It's 10 M by 1 M. I got them off of Amazon. I'm going to use the tape to tape it down. And then I'm going to take the other one, the tape on the back side of it, put the magnets together. And then I'm putting him kind of where I want him on the box. So I kind of want him there. So then I'm going to hold him and push him down so that that tape holds that magnet down on the other side. So now whenever I stick him back on there, he's going to hold it shut. He will be glued down eventually, but I want to embellish the box a little bit. I'm going to decorate the box. I have this old pack of La Creme Stack DC WV. It looks like 2009, so it is rather old, but I've had it in my stash. I'm not using it for anything else, so I'm just going to go through here and find something that I think would look okay on this. I think I'm going to use this piece here. Okay, so I have all of my pieces cut. I wound up with 2 that are 1.5 by 2 1/4, 2 that are 2 by 2 1/4, 1 that is 3.5 by 2 1/4, 4 that are 2 1/4 by 1/2, and that is only if you're wanting to do the insides as well, and then 4 that are 3.5 by 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and glue all these pieces down. right now. And this one, I'm going to take that tape off, the backer of that tape, not the tape, just the backer. And then I'm definitely going to press down around. I'll probably use my scoring tool to make sure that it adheres really well around that magnet. I don't want a gap at the bottom or on the sides where that magnet is a little bit bulky. This one is a really, really thin magnet. I think I showed it, but I mean, that's between my fingers, that's how thin it is. So then there is the box, and now we just have to glue this guy down. I am going to very quickly cut, I think, another face maybe to put behind here, just to give it a little bit more structure and to keep it so that that magnet has something that it's going to be on. So give me just a second here. I'm going to grab this, grab the face. I'm going to use black, I think. And I'm not even gonna adhere it down. I'm just gonna run it through. And the eyes will still be there, but I think it'll be fine. I don't think that will matter too terribly much. Again, I'm going to take the tape off of here. And I'm going to, I just wanted to make sure that that little guy was going to get cover up all the tape there. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to press, because you're going to be able to see him a little bit, because this part will be what's attaching or what's holding it down. So break the fibers down just a little bit to make sure that that stays down better there. And then let's find, so I can glue all of the bottom half of him down, including the broom, but I'm not going to do anything on the top half. So I'm going to get all of this. It was most of the hand that I could put down. I don't want it right on the tip there, but I'm going to use my tweezers to help me. So that's where he needs to be. Whoops. Gotta hold him down while I pull him up. There we go. And then I'm going to just burnish him down too. And we're gonna close and make sure I didn't screw him up too bad. I think I moved him a little bit there, didn't I? Grab my scissors, and we are going to just kind of roughly cut around here. It didn't heat set it, so I'm going to try not to touch any of the actual words, or at least not touch them too much in case they're not completely dry. Now this will fit right in that corner. So I'm going to glue that down. There's that. And then as far as treats that will fit in it, the Trident pack of gum will fit in there. You can even stand it up and it still stands up. Your Tic Tacs will fit in there. The fruit snacks will fit in there, along with Butterfinger or other kind of treats. Gotta get that one a little better Gotta fold it over a little bit and then it'll fit. A lot of air in there. So there's that one. The Reese's peanut butter cups will fit in there. Lots of different things will fit in there. So, but this is the first one that full pack of Trident gum will fit in at least.